everybody. My name is Jeff Sabo, and welcome to this week's edition of Behind the Cape. We're going to be taking a look at Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm going to be doing my review. If you have not seen it, go and see it. It is arguably one of the best Spider-Man films, and also one of the best films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, and one of the reasons I really enjoyed the movie, number one, they're taking a whole fresh approach to the whole Spider-Man movie genre and franchise. In the previous films with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they really focused in on the origin story of the character, where you saw him get bit by the radioactive spider, you saw Uncle Ben die, and you saw the appearance of the Green Goblin. You saw that he really only had a couple of friends here and there, either in Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, or Harry Osborn. For Spider-Man Homecoming, Marvel definitely made it pretty clear they were not doing an origin story, and they stayed true to that statement. You don't see any type of origin story in this at all. The only backstory that they really have is from Captain America Civil War, where Tony Stark finds Peter and then brings him overseas to help with that fight in the airplane hangar. But other than that, no origin story. Another thing that I really enjoyed was that they really took like a fresh approach on all the characters. Marissa Tomei plays Aunt May, and the way Aunt May is portrayed, definitely a little bit stronger character. It's definitely somebody that cares a lot about Peter, but also shows a more up to date side. Just a little bit of cussing and swearing out of Aunt May in this one, which kind of definitely a different take on that. Other than how Sally Field and Rosemary Harris portrayed the character. And then overall, just Peter's interactions with his fellow peers at school. You have, number one, the character of Ned, who is arguably his best friend. They don't have Harry Osborn in the film. They don't have Mary Jane in the film. And the appearance of Ned is a character that's his age that he could easily bounce things off of. Really makes a key part of this film work, and it really just kind of adds like another dimension or another element to the story. And you really kind of feel like that the banter between Peter and Ned really adds quite a bit to the story, and also makes you feel like you're really listening to two teenagers talk. And Tom Holland, just the way he says a lot of the lines, it almost felt like I was reading the Ultimate Spider-Man comics written by Michael Bendis in the early 2000s again. Just with how he was saying the lines, there was a lot of humor involved with it. And the Marvel Comics movies, yes, overall they have humor, but something that was kind of missing from the Amazing Spider-Man series was, I think at times was the humor in it to really lighten it up. This one, for Spider-Man Homecoming, they add humor in it, but they don't also lose the seriousness of some of the scenes. So that really makes a pretty big difference on it as well. And then also, you're going to see a different version of Flash Thompson than what you've seen before in the past. Typically in the previous films, Flash Thompson, as he's portrayed in the comics, typical jock, popular guy, rich kid, where he and Peter really don't get along. In this one, they make Flash Thompson a little bit of a bully, like they always have. However, instead of him being either on the basketball team or the football team, they actually made him a part of the academic challenge team, which is something that Peter is involved with as well. So I thought that was a really great approach to that character. You didn't see the typical, jock bully beating up on Peter, so that was definitely a huge thing that I thought really made the film move. And the fact that a lot of the lines were written, as the banner between not only Peter and Ned, but also between Peter and Flash and some of the other characters, like his love interest Liz and some of the other members of the academic challenge team. You really sat there and went, wow, this is really how teenagers talk. This is really how teenagers discuss things amongst each other. So it really kind of made the film feel a little bit more realistic. And then moving on to the villain, Michael Keaton, who, ironically, back in the late 80s, when he was cast as Batman in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, there was this huge uproar people were wondering, why in the world did they cast Michael Keaton as Batman? Well, in this particular one, obviously, Keaton's in his 60s right now. You really get a sense as to how much talent he really has by the way he portrays the Vulture in this one. The character is very creepy at certain times. You really get a sense that, and pretty much the story goes is that the Vulture is running like an underground weapons business, and you really get, and Keaton does a pretty great job at portraying that character. In that sense, not only as being a villain, but also running an underground business. Now, keep in mind, Keaton was also not too. It was also pretty fresh off of playing Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, in The Founder. So obviously and for those of you who have seen that movie or haven't seen that movie, he really incorporates a lot of the same elements from that character into the Vulture for this one. So I thought that was really an incredible way to portray the character, and I thought they also did a great job of updating the character. Because I have to admit, going into the film, I was wondering how they're going to take a character that debuted in the 60s and on paper looked a little outdated. I kept wondering, how in the world are they going to make this more current, more up to date, and fit within the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Well, they definitely achieved that. So that was a key part. I thought that was definitely a key part, of the story, and really kind of helped move things along. And then overall, you just have, Peter's relationship with Tony Stark. That was really a key part of the movie, where obviously Peter, still being a teenager, still showing some immaturity at times, and then Tony Stark being the one to just kind of say, look, I'm the adult talking here. You have to do what I say. You have to listen to me. You're getting in over your head. So I thought that really added a key part to the storyline as well. And from what I understand, the movie did pretty well at the box office this past weekend. It really did an incredible job portraying the story. So if you have an opportunity to go see it, please do so. It is worth it. And I didn't see it in 3D, but even if you see it in standard, or actually better yet, try and go to a showing where a lot more people are going to be there. Because I think another thing that really added to the experience was that you had a lot of people in the theater laughing at the jokes, laughing at the comic relief. It really just kind of added to the whole experience. So that is going to be it for my review on Spider-Man Homecoming. Thank you for watching, and obviously this isn't going to be the last one for a while. As keep in mind that the summer is not quite over yet, and we still got some other movies coming out, so keep an eye out for my blog on Behind the Cape, and for more reviews, and I'm sure I'll be able to come up with something to write about or talk about. But hey, thank you for watching, and have a good one, and enjoy the movies. Hello again, everybody. My name is Jeff Sabo, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Cape. This week, we are going to be taking a look at Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm going to be doing a review of that. If you have not seen the movie, go and see it. A lot of the critics beforehand were saying that this is arguably the best Spider-Man movie that has ever been released, and after I saw it, I was starting to agree with them. First off, they take a whole fresh approach and fresh look at not only Spider-Man's character, but also the other characters as well. In the previous Spider-Man films, with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, it had the traditional storyline: Uncle Ben passes away, Peter gets bit by the spider, his only two friends are Mary Jane and Harry Osborn, and he's kind of a nerd, kind of an outcast. And also in the Amazing Spider-Man series, they developed his relationship with Gwen Stacy. For Spider-Man Homecoming, they don't really take that approach at all. Kind of leading up to it, it was very apparent that Marvel was making it clear they did not want to do an origin story, which they stayed true to that statement. No origin story connected to this one as well. And when you think about, and then the only really, let me just start